Hello. So right now I'm trying to make a video, another one about the Greedy Farmer spokesperson Ibrahim and how he likes to claim that everyone should stay. It should the criteria for everyone should be based on the present tense, whereas for him and his family it should be based on the future. Mainly, what I'm trying to say is everyone should not like me. People should not like me based on either my pharmacy school GPA, where law enforcement has confessed to using severe amounts of amnesia drugs, along with locking up my brain savant, and even harassing me while I was sleeping on the side of the streets, forcing me to go sleep with lizards crawling all around me, or inside of mosques, due to law enforcement harassing me in order to get my overseas pharmacy degree. So basically, yeah, that my mother had to work really hard at a Food Line grocery store to pay for. So basically, he wants everyone to be going based on the GPA from my overseas pharmacy school, or how my brain savant is locked up right now and I can't even study a single page right now, is what Ibrahim, the Greedy Farmer spokesperson, is arguing everyone should be going based on for looking at me, whereas for him and his family, they should be going based on what my brain savant monetary potential is. So let me just tell you exactly how much of this $60 million blackmail that Ibrahim's Greedy Farmer spokesperson sent to me after February 21st, 2026, after finding out that who the government informant was, and the fact that she had already told the government informant that everything she was enviously fabricating with him was due to extreme envy of my brain savant, due to which the only option that she now had after finding out that that was the government informant was to run after that same money that she had already confessed to being the envious motive for why she was fabricating false testimonies against me. So as soon as she finds out that who the government informant was, and the fact that that Ibrahim's envious mother had already told the government informant that she did everything due to extreme envy of my brain savant monetary potential, that artificial intelligence labeled it as being the most rare and profitable in the world. She ran after me with extreme greed, sending me blackmail price tags of millions of dollars, mainly $60 million, that she sent me at least 8 times. And I could read to you exactly when these $60 million blackmail price tags started from Ibrahim's envious mother, excuse me. So $60 million was sent to me on February 21st at 8:18 p.m., February 22nd, 8:42 p.m., February 22nd, 11:11 p.m., February 24th, 7:58 a.m., February 25th at 11:32 p.m., February 26th at 5:41 a.m., February 26th at 5:44 a.m., February 26th at 5:56 a.m. Yeah, so basically that is 8 times that she sent it to me after February 21st. You can ask law enforcement if they were asked by Ibrahim's envious greedy mother to actually send these to me as soon as she found out who the government informant was, and the fact that she confessed to the government informant that she was fabricating false testimonies and lies against me due to the monetary potential that artificial intelligence had labeled my brain savant. Now, Ibrahim, the Greedy Farmer, might try to argue, well, we were only asking for this money for when after his brain savant would get free, then he would give it to us. Okay, that makes some sense. But then you also have other things that Ibrahim's envious mother did right now, which is asking me to marry her daughter, Ibrahim's own sister, on March 9th, 3 times. March 9th, 5:02 a.m., March 9th, 6:55 a.m., March 9th, 12:02 p.m. Basically 3 times I was asked through law enforcement on March 9th to marry Ibrahim's sister, or his envious mother's daughter, 3 times on March 9th. So that is a present tense, not in the future. Also, April 12th, 2026 at 1:37 a.m., his mother and Ibrahim asked me one more time to marry his sister. That is in the present tense, not in the future. And we get to more in detail about how in the present tense we're really talking over here, where on June 24th, they did a brain savant test, law enforcement did, where they were claiming that my brain savant was basically, basically they were claiming that only air drugging Lord increases my brain savant powers. Well, not really smart thing to try to argue about someone with a brain savant, considering the fact that Google clearly writes in its definition that a brain savant is someone with superhuman powers, and that would be a self-contradictory statement to try to argue that a person with a brain savant would have powers that were lower or average to normal human beings. Well, anyways, on July 18 last month, when Ibrahim, the greedy framer, asked me to marry his sister as a Ponzi scheme, because knowing that I already rejected, I do not want his ugly-looking sister who's way too young for me in the first place, as a Ponzi scheme, so he could harass me for that same $60 million for the rest of my life written on the prenup. Basically, yeah. It was already labeled as such on July 6th, after I told the entire world that Farah the Greedy Framer and Miss Dev were basically running a prenup marriage scam, blackmail, Ponzi scheme against me. So basically, after June 24th was reanalyzed, where these ears that are locked up right now, they were all the way in the back of my head on the night of April 22nd, 2025, last year, when it was tested out. And so on June 24th, law enforcement wanted to test out, June 24th, as in 2 months ago, law enforcement wanted to test out what if this increases my powers or not if they let go of my ears. So basically, that brain savant test came out and showing that it definitely increased my powers, obviously. So what ended up happening was they still kept on arguing about it, due to which they due to extreme envy, due to which what ended up happening was they overanalyzed June 24th, finding out artificial intelligence telling them the obvious, like Google is right when it says that it's superhuman powers. The guy has superhuman powers, so my powers are already hundreds of times more powerful than normal human beings, as tested for 6 hours on August 9th, 2022, with air drugging being lured for 6 hours. Whereas if you let go of these, there are locks on my ears right now through energy weapon torture tools. So if you let go of those, basically what ends up happening is the powers become 1,000 times more powerful than normal humans. I have instantaneous photographic memory, focusing, and innovation. Focusing basically means that, unlike Daniel Tammet, I don't have to do this when I'm trying to concentrate or focus. I also don't have to take breaks, and it also means like a robot-like effect where I could crush all my desires and everything. I'll put it on the side, like as if it doesn't even exist, regardless of how much hormones might be in there, because focusing is also a superhuman power of mine. So basically, they overanalyzed June 24th, and they found out that my powers would be thousands of times more powerful than normal human beings in terms of instantaneous photographic memory, innovation, and focusing, clearly showing from facts and evidences that the claim I've made that every 30 days I could get something like Manoj Bhargava's 5-hour energy drink done every 30 days, considering the fact that I could do an entire textbook of something like Arenball's medicinal chemistry in less than a day's time, clearly showing from facts and evidences from the most recent brain savant test from June 24th being overanalyzed, that in 30 days time that would be more than 30,000 pages of the most dry textbook there is, with photographic memory from cover to cover, with innovation and focusing, meaning that I would definitely be able to do it in 30-day time period. So basically, Ibrahim the Greedy Framer wants everyone to live in the look at me based on my pharmacy school GPA. Well, law enforcement has confessed to locking up my brain savant and then using amnesia drugs in the exam room to force me to cancel the exams and to use amnesia drugs while I'm trying to study for those finals in pharmacy school. Whereas Ibrahim the Greedy Framer spokesperson himself wants to live in the present term based on the artificial intelligence reports coming out on my brain savant. Let me show you exactly what I mean. This is July 18, right when the brain savant test from June 24th was overanalyzed, finding from facts and evidences that my powers are definitely superhuman, as in thousands of times more powerful than normal human beings can ever imagine in terms of instantaneous photographic memory, art, focusing, and innovation. This is him advertising his sister to me on July 18, that's last month, July 18, 2026 at 11:16 a.m., where the facts and evidences will show that Ibrahim the Greedy Framer spokesperson from just last month, July 18, asked law enforcement to advertise his ugly-looking sister, who's way too young for me, as a Ponzi scheme for me to get sign a prenup marriage agreement, despite it being labeled as a Ponzi scheme prenup marriage agreement. On July 6th, he still tried it. On July 18, 2026, at 11:16 a.m., just last month, due to artificial intelligence's report on my Gene 24 brain savant test coming out, proving from facts and evidences that I have the highest chances of becoming a billionaire on this planet than any other human being on this planet. And Ibrahim, the Greedy Framer spokesperson, wanted to look at me based on that criteria rather than the criteria he wants everyone else to look at me with, which is to look at me based on my pharmacy school GPA, when law enforcement has confessed to locking up my brain savant and using severe amnesia drugs on me when I try to study, or even when I try to study, or even when I was when I was either trying to study, or when I was in my exam rooms. They would even use severe amnesia drugs on me at that time as well. So he was advertising his sister to me on July 18, and all day long on July 18, despite asking me to sign a prenup marriage agreement for his sister on July 18, despite him claiming that he wants everyone else to be looking at me based on my pharmacy school GPA, when law enforcement themselves have admitted that they used severe amnesia drugs on me to make sure that I could not I could not use my brain savant, and then on top of that, they locked up my brain savant so I couldn't use it, and then on top of that, they used severe amnesia drugs on me to make sure that I could not study or remember anything at all in the exam room itself, as well as when I would be trying to study. And yet that is the criteria he wants everyone to look at me as, or the criteria of me not being able to study right now due to my brain savant being locked up, that law enforcement themselves have confessed in court. But for himself, he wants to be looking at me based on the criteria of what artificial intelligence labels it. Since on July 18, just last month, he was asking me as a Ponzi scheme for me to marry his sister, who's way too young for me and ugly looking, and I'm not interested in her. And I've already labeled these requests by Fur the Greedy Framer or Mistab on July 6th as being a Ponzi scheme. And yet on July 18, Ibrahim, the Greedy Framer spokesperson, got very greedy, and he asked law enforcement to ask me if I would agree to this Ponzi scheme for his drug addiction problem, where I would sign a prenup marriage agreement for that same $60 million that his mother asked me for at least 8 times after February 21st, in exchange for him no longer making lies against me, which he got caught lying again just this month of July, for the 5th time. So November 20th, he knew about his envious mother, greedy mother, fabricated it against me. Then she made more lies that she had already confessed to the government informant as being more lies in January 2026, that he himself pushed for very aggressively due to his extreme envy. Then early April 2026, him and his envious mother pushed forward more lies that required phone conversations to have to be retrieved, only to find out that they were all complete total lies. Then for the 4th time, he made more lies against me in the month of July, while and then he got caught. So for himself, he wants to look at me and go on me based on the criteria of what artificial intelligence has labeled my brain savant as being the most rare and profitable in the world, and me having literally the highest chances of becoming a billionaire on this planet than any other human being on this planet right now. And then based on the June 24th brain savant test from just 2 months ago, Ibrahim, the Greedy Framer spokesperson, got extremely greedy, and he asked me to sign a Ponzi scheme for him basically last month, July 18th. That's what he wants to look at for me, for himself, while everyone else should look at me based on my pharmacy school GPA, despite me running on sandwiches and pack of ramen noodles every day, getting abused by my stepmother, adding acid to my clothes, puncturing holes in my clothes, not letting me have any food or anything like that, and in the end, me even sleeping on the side of the streets, mainly making it literally a miracle that I even have a college degree for PharmD, university that literally only requires me to take a simple English exam, which I literally passed in Saudi Arabia while being tortured, and I still passed that exam. With the board exams literally being a walk in the park for a guy like me, who could literally do the textbook in one day, for it, as artificial intelligence just labeled on June 24th, telling everyone that I have been telling everyone the truth. So basically, yeah, but for himself right now, he wants to live in, based on what artificial intelligence has told everyone. So this is just July 30th, and he's advertising himself to me through an ad where he wants me to basically scam girls and sleep with them based on what the court chatter is right now going on about my brain savant, where artificial intelligence experts are informing the judges about my brain savant, and people like girls hearing about it. And he wants me to go and scam people's vulnerable daughters living alone to first sleeping with me and then passing them on to drug addicts like Ibrahim, the Greedy Framer spokesperson. And obviously he's going to try to get revenge by labeling me a drug addict. But I have never, despite being watched since I was an 11-year-old child, not once in my entire life, despite being watched 24/7, have I ever bought street drugs. Not even once. I have never bought street drugs from anyone ever in my life, despite being watched 24/7 since I was an 11-year-old child. Except for that, you also have the fact that I was only prescribed hyperactivity disorder medications by my doctor, which I myself went over to my doctor and told him to put in his computer system to never prescribe it to me ever again, making it impossible for me to ever get that hyperactivity disorder drug medication for myself ever again. If I had 1% thoughts of using it or abusing it or misusing it or anything of that sort of nature, or wanting it, or even 1% a drug addict, then I would never do that. And I would never to go and tell my doctor to put in this computer system that I've aged out of this medication, it has high dependency, and to never prescribe it to me ever again. I'm saying that because this is literally the only thing that is a controlled substance that I ever had. For the past 10 years, though, I've never had one controlled substance. Not even Robitussin, which is over the counter, Schedule 5. Not even that. I haven't even had that in the past, at least the past 10 years of my life. So yeah, basically showing from facts and evidences of me being watched 24/7 since I was an 11-year-old child, that I have no history of being a drug addict or ever overdosing on any drugs ever in my life, not even once, where I would end up in the emergency room, whereas Ibrahim, the Greedy Framer spokesperson, buys crystal methamphetamine literally every other day, overdoses at least once a week, and ends up in the emergency room at least once a week. Something that someone taking therapeutic medications or anything of that sort of nature would never even do in their entire lifetime, mainly because it would be impossible to do so. The physiological effects of the heart rate would be too high for it to be done so like that for therapeutic medications, whereas for drugs that are sold on the side of the streets, literally made by scientists in South America, where the cartels use scientists to make these drugs, they take away the physiological effects such as high heart rate, and they decrease the tolerance in very simple ways, where they would literally change the structure of the drug very slightly, where they would take out one of the side groups from it, leaving the main functional group in there and decreasing its tolerance very easily, very easily done. I know this for a fact because someone I knew had a disease where he had to take a medication, and he wanted the very first effect, and I told him exactly how to do it, and he came back to me and he was like, "Oh my God, can't believe I was able to do this." I was like, "Yeah, man, that's my field, that's what I do." But yeah, so that is basically like South America has cartels. Those cartels have scientists. They will easily do this, due to which the person taking these, buying these street drugs will literally overdose on it at least once a week, due to its euphoria effect that would be uncontrollable, and they will be forced to do it at least once a week, ending up in the emergency room at least once a week. So yeah, Ibrahim, the Greedy Farmer spokesperson, wants me right now to hand over and go and try to scam girls that are hearing the court chatter right now about my brain savant being overanalyzed from days like June 24th, overanalyzed, and then me going over and scamming these girls for him, just as he asked July 30th, only like 3 days ago, so that I would scam these girls and then hand them over to a drug addict like him so that they would end up doing drugs and ending up dead, like we saw in a lot of shows and things of that sort of nature. Like Breaking Bad, you have the apology girl in there, a very sad episode. Things of that sort of nature will happen. If a girl takes the same drug that a guy takes, say same amount, she will not be able to live or be able to go through it. The guy can overdose, she would probably die from it. So yeah, these things have to be considered, and Ibrahim, the Greedy Farmer spokesperson, wants everyone to look at me based on my pharmacy school GPA, where law enforcement has confessed to locking up my brain savant. Not only that, they also confessed to using severe amnesia drugs on me. The entire time I would be in the exam room or when I'd be trying to study, making it a miracle that I was able to sleep on the side of the streets, run on 2 sandwiches and pack ramen noodles for months to be able to give all 108 exams to get that degree back to my mother, who worked at a Food Line grocery store, to help pay for it. So basically a miracle that I even have it, and literally requires a simple English exam for me to sit in the board exams. That English exam, by the way, I passed while being tortured in Saudi Arabia, and the board exams, obviously with the powers that have just been proven on June 24th from just 2 months ago, overanalyzed, it would be one day's work literally for a guy like me and my powers. So yeah, Ibrahim, the Greedy Farmer spokesperson, wants everyone to be going on me based on that, rather than him going on me based on the June 24th brain savant test results that him and his mother are going on me based on, where his mother asked me to marry his sister on March 9th and April 11th, March 9th 3 times, and then April 11th as well. And he himself asked me last month to sign this Ponzi scheme for his sister on July 18th of last month, 11:16 a.m., where I would be basically marrying his sister, or signing a Ponzi scheme, a prenup marriage agreement for his sister that it's already labeled as such on July 6th, and yet he's still advertising this to me all day, night long. So basically, yeah, I'm sorry, they're not letting me talk. They use drugs due to which I stutter or I'm not able to talk properly. But this is exactly what has been going on. Him and his mother want to live based on my brain savant potential, whereas they want everyone to look at me based on the fact that I'm not able to even open up a textbook right now after July 1st, 2023. Law enforcement finding out that my brain savant powers are extremely rare due to the fact that they increase in power over time, which it still increased on November 14, 2025, by the way. So yeah, they couldn't stop that. But yeah, so you were really proud to say that fact, but they want everyone to be looking at me based on the fact that I'm not able to open up a textbook right now, whereas they themselves are running after me from just last month, July 18 last month, for their daughter, and Ibrahim literally running after me for signing a Ponzi scheme for his own drug addiction problem, for his money for his drug addiction problem, and he also has sex addiction problems, so obviously asking me to scam these girls for him, which I would never do. After my brain savant gets free, I just get married and that's it. The story's over after that. So yeah, I have no I would not do any of these things, basically. Yeah, they're not letting me talk, sorry. So basically, so him and his mother, or him basically from last month, since he's the only one asking law enforcement to do this, he was asking law enforcement to get me to sign this marriage agreement, blackmail for him to, after he got greedy, and the June 24th brain savant test results literally proved that I have the highest chance out of any other human being on this planet to become a billionaire, and he got extremely greedy, and he asked law enforcement to ask me to sign basically this prenup marriage agreement Ponzi scheme for his sister, whereas for himself he's going based on that, but for everyone else he wants to label me as being someone who can't even open up a textbook right now, which is true. They locked up my brain savant completely, and I can't. After July 1st 2023 I can't, but before July 1st 2023 that's literally all I did from morning till night, stare into a textbook from morning till night, which is why they know everything about my brain savant so much. Yeah, but that is the truth. But for himself, he wants to go based on the June 24th brain savant test being overanalyzed for his own sister, but everyone else should go based on the pharmacy school GPA, where law enforcement themselves confessed that they used so much amnesia drugs after locking up my brain savant completely so that I couldn't do study or give the exams. They would even use it in the exam room, so I couldn't give the exams either, making it a miracle that I even have that college degree after sleeping on the side of the streets to get all 108 exams done. Thank you very much.